Morning class, welcome to the online lecture series of mechanical measurement. Today we are going to start a new series that is on pressure measurement. Now we'll move on to the next slide. Now what is pressure? Pressure is the ratio of force to the area over which the force is distributed. You know that it is given by the formula P equals F by A. Yeah, we also know that pressure is nothing but force per unit area applied in the direction perpendicular to the surface of an object. Now, its SI unit is Newton per meter square or kg per meter per second square. Now, there are a few terms related to pressure, that is atmospheric pressure. Now, what is atmospheric pressure? It is the force per unit area exerted on the surface by the weight of air above the surface in the atmosphere of Earth. Okay, so on any surface, whatever pressure is exerted by the atmospheric air above it, it is known as atmospheric pressure at that particular temperature, pressure, and that particular altitude. Now, what is gauge pressure? Now, gauge pressure is the pressure measured with the help of a pressure measuring instrument. It is प्रेशर मेजरिंग इंस्ट्रूमेंट की हेल्प से जब भी आप कोई प्रेशर मेजर करते हैं दैट काइंड ऑफ प्रेशर इज नोन एज गेज प्रेशर. Now gauge pressure is equals to absolute pressure minus atmospheric pressure. That means it is not the absolute pressure, it is the pressure measured by instrument above or in reference to the atmospheric pressure. Okay, let us suppose if your atmospheric pressure is 1 bar, then the gauge pressure, if it is giving 2 bar, then absolute pressure will be 3 bars. Okay, so it will be the plus. Okay, absolute pressure will be gauge pressure plus atmospheric pressure. Okay, in case of vacuum pressure, you will be having atmospheric pressure minus the gauge pressure, you will get the absolute pressure. Now, what is static pressure? Static pressure is defined as force per unit acting on the wall by a fluid at rest or flowing parallel to the wall in a pipeline. Okay, it is static pressure. Okay, ये क्या होता है? Whenever a fluid at rest or flowing parallel to the wall of a pipe, जो वो pressure exert करता है, that pressure is known as static pressure. Now we move on to the next slide. Now we are having classification. Now there are basically 5 types. One is gravitational type, device measurement of high and device measurement of low, elastic transducers, and strain gauge pressure cells. Now, what is gravitational transducer? Gravitational transducer, where the pressure is sensed with the help of gravity. Now, for that we have deadweight tester and manometers. Okay. Then for device measurement for high pressure, we are having Bridgman pressure gauge. Okay. Device for low pressure, we are having McLeod vacuum gauge, thermal conductivity gauges, Rani gauge, ionization gauge, and elastic transducers. We are having Bourdon pressure gauge, which is widely used, diaphragm gauges or below gauge to measure gauge pressure, and below gauge to measure differential pressure. Okay, so there are different kind of below gauges also. Now, strain gauge pressure cells are having cylindrical type pressure cell is there. Now, we move on to the next slide. Now we move on to the manometers. What are the different kind of manometers that we see? Now, what are manometers first? Manometers are devices used for measuring the pressure at a point in a fluid by balancing the column of fluid by the same or another column of fluid. What it is saying that manometers are devices used for measuring pressure at a point in a fluid by balancing the column of fluid by the same fluid or other column of a fluid. Okay, for example, if you want to measure pressure inside a pipe, suppose in the first case, if you see, in the first case, if you'll see over here, that if this is a pipe of which pressure has to be measured, what is done is a pipe is attached to it, and what happens is we can have two kind of methods. Either what we are doing, we are using this liquid only to fill into a capillary or a pipe, and it raises to a height. And when it raises to a height, we can find the pressure with the help of rho g h. Okay, rho is density of the fluid, g is gravitational acceleration due to gravity, and h is the height. So we will get the pressure at this particular point. We will get rho g h. So this kind of a system, uh, as you can see in the figure, is a piezometer in which directly we can use it in a pipe. Now there are different kind of manometers. One is simple manometer that we have all seen, that a tube filled with mercury is inverted onto a uh, beaker, and in which it is kept, mercury is filled, and due to the atmospheric pressure, the mercury rises uh, into the capillary, or the, you can say, a test tube, inverted test tube, and the pressure can be measured. Now, the basic some important type of manometers are piezometer, uh, single column manometers, and differential manometers. Now, single column manometers are of two types: vertical single column manometer and inclined single column manometers. Now, vertical column manometer can also be said to as well type manometer, in which a well is there. You can see it over here. It is a well, and the upper surface is open. Now the pressure is applied over here, and this well, what is it happens is, the pressure, it exerts pressure on this liquid like surface, and this liquid rises into the capillary. The rise in the height from this level, the rise in height from this level, you can see the scale starts from exactly where the surface is. So above this level, the distance, this distance is, this distance is from here to here, it is h. This distance over here is h. It is the h height. You can measure the height, and we can have the values. Now, some places we also use inclined kind of surface, inclined tube, for where we need to measure very low pressure. When low pressure is to be measured, then we go for the inclined surfaces. Now, there are differential manometers. In differential manometers, we are having U-tube manometers and inverted U-tube manometers. Now, what does the term differential manometer mean? It means that we are taking the pressure difference between the 2 points. For example, in the first one, if you see, there are point A and point B. This point A and point B, and these both have different pressures. So what is happened? These are connected with the help of a U-tube manometer, in which a mercury is filled or a high density fluid is filled. Okay, if these liquids are of high density, then a low density fluid is filled in between, so that the pressure can be taken. Low density is filled in inverted one. It is having low specific gravity, and over here it is having high specific gravity. So these are high specific gravity or high gravity, high density fluids, and these are, in the inverted one, we are using low density fluids. So what it does is, it just gives you a pressure difference in the terms of height. So the pressure exerted by A pushes the mercury down below, which raises the mercury level towards the low pressure cell. If the B pressure would have been high, the case could have been opposite. This mercury would have been pushed down, and in this capillary there will be a rise in mercury. And the difference of height rho gh will give you the direct difference. Same is the case in the inverted U-tube manometer. There we use a lesser density material over here. Okay. Now we move on to the next slide. Now we are having dead weight testers. Now it is used to calibrate all kind of pressure gauges as industrial pressure gauge, engine indicators, and piezoelectric transducers. So it is basically used for your calibration purposes. Now, how does it work? Now, you can see it on here. In order to create an accurately known pressure, the following steps are to be followed. The valve of the apparatus is closed. You can see here, it is a valve over here. I'll mark it for you. We are having a valve here. Okay, this valve is closed. Okay. Now, by opening the plunger, by operating the plunger, fluid pressure is applied onto the other side of the piston. Now this valve is closed, so we don't know what is the pressure over here. So we just, what we do is we push the plunger and we increase the pressure in here. Okay. Now first of all, what is done is this valve initially it is open so that whatever unknown pressure we want to measure comes into it and it fills the liquid over here with a certain pressure. Okay. Now what happens is uh, this plunger is, oh, just a minute. No, it's not like that. The valve is closed. The plunger is pushed initially so that a pressure is created over here. Now, due to that pressure, we want to set an initial pressure. Okay. So, what a pressure is set up here, and to know how much pressure is being generated by the plunger, we use dead weights to on this platform. Okay. Due to these weights exert pressure onto this piston, and we have a particular area over here, so we can have load upon area and we will find the pressure in the liquid, the liquid inside this chamber. We will have a definite pressure. Now we know the weight, we know the area, so we know what is the pressure inside the liquid. So what we do is, now we open this valve and we put the gauge for testing. Now we put the gauge and we have a reading. Now when we have a reading, we come to know that whether the gauge is giving the exact reading or the uh, variation, or there is a variation in the reading. So if there is a variation in the reading, we will know that whether the gauge is perfect or not, and or how much correction is needed, how much is the error and how much correction is needed, so that the gauge can be calibrated properly. Now I will read it for you. What I have written over here is, the valve of the apparatus is closed. Now the weight is placed on the platform. Now by operating the plunger, fluid pressure is applied on other side of the piston until enough force is developed to lift the piston weight combination. When this happens, the piston weight combination floats freely within the cylinder between the limit stops. In this condition of equilibrium, the pressure force of fluid is balanced against gravitational force of the weights pulls the friction dry, and it is given by P into A is equals to mg plus F, and hence pressure is equals to, you can have a bracket over here, we'll have a bracket. Okay, these are the brackets, mg plus F by A, where F is nothing but the frictional drag present over in this surface. This surface is there of the piston. In this area, whatever the friction is occurring, on that we are having a frictional drag force. Now we'll move on to the next slide. Now the next one is elastic pressure elements, or the elastic pressure, how the elastic members are made for the pressure transducer, as a pressure transducer. So elastic pressure elements are mechanical type transducers used for measurement of very high pressure, about 700 meganewton per meter square. These are of mainly three types. Okay, the first one is your Bourdon type, Bourdon tube type, the second one is diaphragms, and the third one is bellows. And now action of these, how do they work? The action of these mechanical transducers depend upon the displacement caused by the pressure. Okay, so whenever we apply a pressure onto these transducers, they displace, and the displacement gives us the deflection. The displacement produced may actuate the pointer, whose deflection may be direct measure of pressure applied on the, or the displacement is measured with help of secondary transducer, which is electrical in nature. Now it can be of two types. Either we can have this displacement directly vary with the pressure with the help of a pointer, so that we can directly measure the pressure, or in the other case, this displacement can be read with the help of an electrical transducer, which converts it into a voltage signal, and with the help of a voltage difference, we can have this check of pressure, how much pressure has varied with respect to the voltage generated. Now we move on to the next slide. Now we are having what are the advantages and disadvantages of Bourdon gauge, and what are the different kinds of Bourdon gauge. Now basically Bourdon gauge are nothing but a tube type of a surfaces which can be shaped into different types. Over here you can see that we have shown three types of uh, Bourdon tube elements. The first one is, you can see it is twisted tube. The second one is electrical tube, and the third one is a spiral tube. Okay, so it is twisted, spiral, and twisted, helical, and spiral. Okay, twisted, helical, and spiral, like in a form of a helix, like a drill is there, helix drill is there. So it is in the form of helical, and over here it is twisted. Now these all are tubes. Now what happens is, whenever a pressure is applied onto one end of the tube, another end of the tube is always sealed and free to either rotate or expand. Now what happens is, when a pressure is applied, these due to the pressure, that the shape of the tube tends to change. So the initial end, which is from where the pressure is inserted, it is fixed end, so it doesn't change its shape, but the other end changes its shape. So for the twisted tube, it might rotate. As you can see, a small angular displacement can be there. Okay. From the other one, this pivoted point, what will happen? It will try to expand. When it will try to expand, this pointer will move. And in the spiral, what will happen? When you will fill it with the high pressurized fluid, what will happen? This will try to expand. It will try to expand, and when it will expand, it will give you a reading on the scale. So this is the basic working principle of a Bourdon gauge. Now, there are some of the examples. It is simple in construction and it is cheap, available in several different ranges. You can have different kind of pressure ranges depending upon what kind of a material you have used. Capability to measure, gauge absolute and differential pressures. These are sensitive to Bourdon. The sensitivity of Bourdon tube may be changed by changes in their dimensions. As you change the dimensions, you can change their sensitivity. They are having good sensitivity, simple and straightforward calibration with dead weight tester. With the dead weight tester we have already discussed, we can simply calibrate it, then easily adapt to strain, capacitance, magnetic, and other electric transducers. We can also use electrical transducers for such kind of devices. इसके साथ हम ये भी use कर सकते हैं. Then disadvantages are it is susceptibility to shock and vibration. If there is shock and vibration in the environment, they will not give you the good readings. Inherent hysteresis and slow response to pressure changes. Okay, it changes very slowly with the pressure. So pressure, so that is the, they are not that much. They take more time to give response. They are sensitive, but they take more time for response. Now they are having unstable. They are unstable for low pressure application. For low pressure, they will not give you the consistent reading. So these are the some of the drawbacks. Now we'll come to the next slide, in which we will discuss a prominent Bourdon gauge and its construction. Now, what happens over here is, you can see here from the figure, that we are having over here, it is the Bourdon tube. As you can see, like this, it is a Bourdon tube, and this is the place where pressure is being inserted for measurement. Now, as the pressure is being sent into the Bourdon tube, it tries to expand. This is the tip. It tries to expand. When it tries to expand, we are having an adjustable link which acts as a mechanism, which has a mechanism due to which it moves this gear and pinion arrangement. And what happens is, whenever this sector moves, it tries to move, it rotates, and when it rotates, with the help of it, this pinion also rotates, and a pointer is attached to this pinion, which rotates to give you a reading. Now, this is the basic construction and working. Now, it was first invented by Eugene Gordon in 1849. The basic idea behind the device is that cross-sectional tubing, when deformed in any way, will tend to regain its circular form under the action of pressure. Okay, Bourdon tubes are known for its very high range of differential pressure measurement, and they have a range almost equals to 1 lakh psi or 700 megapascal. Okay, it is having simple tube construction which will expand when it's exposed to pressure. Okay, as I've already told you, whenever pressure is given to the Bourdon tube, it tends to expand. Now, one end is open and another end is fixed with the help of mechanism that's written over here. It's the same thing. The movement of the tip is ideally proportional to the pressure applied. The tip is connected to a spring-loaded link work and gear sector and pinion arrangement, which amplifies the displacement of the tip and converts it into deflection of the pointer. Now, the Bourdon tubes are generally made of bronze and nickel steel. Okay, these are made of bronze and nickel steel, and what this mechanism does is it tries to amplify the motion which is the free motion of this tip. Now we move on to the next type of pressure measuring device. Now we are having diaphragm type. Now, first of all, we'll try to see what are the different. What is diaphragm? Diaphragm is basically, you can see over here, a membrane which is being attached or fixed at two ends, and in center we are having a sheet which can sense the pressure. That kind of thing is known as a diaphragm. Now, these diaphragm can be of different types. It can be flat type, dish type, corrugated type, or capsule type. Over in this figure, where we are having a diaphragm gauge, we can see a corrugated diaphragm. It is a corrugated diaphragm. And how does it work? On one end, the pressure is being applied to the diaphragm, and on the another end, we are having a arrangement, a transducer arrangement, in which when this pressure is applied, this piston will try to move upwards. Will try to move upwards, and when it will try to move upwards, what will happen is this rack and pinion arrangement is there. So this rack will move up. When this rack will move up, this piston will this pinion will try to rotate in this direction, and when it will rotate in this direction, this needle will also rise. This needle will also rise, and it will give you a reading on the scale. Circular scale is provided on the outside, which will provide you the reading. Now, what are the advantages of it? It can withstand high overpressures. Okay, high pressure अगर एकदम से sudden high pressure आ जाएगा तो it can sustain it. Can maintain good linearity over a wide range of pressures. Gauges are available for absolute and differential pressure instruments. Again, you can make an arrangement for absolute pressure and also for differential pressures. Okay, relatively small size and moderate cost. Okay, it is low cost and small size. Now, what are the limitations? Limitations are difficult to repair, need protection from shock and vibration, cannot measure high pressures. Okay, it cannot measure high pressures. Now, I hope it is clear. Now we'll move on to the next kind of pressure measuring devices. Now, these are below types. Now, what is below? Belows are nothing but shapes. Just a second. Belows are nothing but shapes like this. You can also see it in the figures. Now what happens over here is, these are the below. When just a second. Whenever pressure is applied onto it, the working fluid fills the below, and when it fills the below, it tries to expand. Okay, it will expand. Now, when it will expand, it should be the another color. It will try to move into the new color. It will try to enlarge. It will try to enlarge. So as the pressure increases, it will enlarge and it can give you the deflection. Now this deflection can be measured with the help of different kind of devices. Either you can use an electrical device or you can use a mechanical pointer arrangement, so that we can have a pressure measurement. As you can see, there are two kind of figures that are shown. One is having a simple below and a pointer is attached and a scale is there, and in another one we are having a spring also mounted so that it can measure slightly higher pressures. So now we see what are the belows basically, and how the flexibility of below is directly proportional to the four types. The number of convolutions, that means the number of corrugations that are there, then the square of outside diameter of below, ठीक है ना, the outside diameter, the maximum diameter का square पे depend करता है, ठीक है, cube of the wall thickness, that means the wall thickness इसके cube पे depend करता है, and Young's modulus of the material used. So these are some of the uh, characteristics on which below gauges work. Now what are the advantages? They are simple and rugged construction, because they are easy to make, useful for measurement of low and medium pressures. They are having moderate cost and can be used for measurement of absolute gauge and differential pressure. They can measure all kind of pressures. Now what are the disadvantages? They need a spring for accurate characterization. Okay, great hysteresis and zero drift problems, unsuitable for transient measurement due to longer relative motion and mass. Okay, so it cannot bear sudden changes in pressure. So it can have, if there is a static pressure or a constant pressure that you want to measure, it can measure, but sudden changes in pressure, it will not respond to it very quickly. Require compensation for ambient temperature changes. Okay, if there is ambient temperature change, that you then you need to set the gauge accordingly to have correct, so that it can give you the correct readings. Now we'll move on to the next slide. Now we are having the Macleod gauge. Now what is the working principle? The principle of all Macleod gauges is the compression of a sample of low pressure gas to a pressure sufficiently high to read with a simple manometer. Now what this kind of a measuring device does is, it is used to measure very low pressures, and what it does is, it takes that low pressure and it converts it into a higher pressure so that it could be read. Now how it is done, we'll see it now in the construction. The Macleod gauge consists of a system of glass tubings in which known volume of a gas, known volume, it is, the thing is, it is, the volume should be known. The known volume of a gas at unknown pressure is trapped and then isothermally compressed by rising column. Okay, it is isothermally compress. Now we know that isothermal process is a very slow process because we do not, sorry, isothermal process is a very isothermal process is a very slow process. So that what happens is we can slowly raise the pressure such that temperature should not rise, so that it should give you the correct readings. Okay. Now, what is its operation? How it works? Now you can see in the figure, the plunger is withdrawn, lowering the mercury level below the opening. Now, if you can see over here, mark it for you. This is the opening over here, okay, and this is the plunger. First of all, the plunger is drawn upwards. Plunger is drawn upwards so that this mercury will flow downwards. This mercury will flow down, and this opening will open. Now, a uniform pressure. A uniform pressure is applied over here. A uniform pressure is applied over here, and what will happen? This liquid will fill into it. This liquid will fill into it, and it will rise up in the. This is measuring capillary, and the bulb, it will fill over here. So now all this fluid is at low pressure. Now what happens is, this is closed from here. Now when it is filled over here, now what we do is, in the next step, we push the plunger back. Now when we push the plunger back, this mercury lifts up and closes both the pathways. Okay, it closes both the pathways and fills in both the tubes. Now this is the reference tube and this is the pressure tube. Now what happens is, when the plunger is completely pushed, so this is a fixed amount of pressure that we have applied, so we knew how much pressure is being applied. Now after this pressure is applied, this uh, air is trapped inside, or this liquid is trapped inside, and we can have its pressure over here with the help of rho gauge. Okay, so in this manner we amplify its pressure and we measure it. Now I hope it is clear. Now I'll move on to the next slide. This one is Bridgman gauge, and it is a very important kind of a gauge. It is used to measure high pressures. And how it works, let us see. First is the working principle. When a wire is subjected to pressures from all sides, its electrical resistance changes. This principle can be utilized to obtain a primary type resistive pressure sensor and is called as Bridgman pressure sensor. Now what happens is, over here, there is an electrical, whenever an electrical conductor is pressurized from all the sides, what happens is its resistance tends to increase. Electrical resistance tends to increase, and this principle is used for obtaining primary type of resistive pressures sensors and is called as Bridgman pressure sensor. Now you can I will first discuss it. The fine wire used in a typical gauge is made of manganese or gold chrome. Manganese has a pressure coefficient of resistance that is 25 into 10 raised to the power minus 12 per Pascal, and the total resistance of the wire is 100 ohms. Okay, it is placed such that the total resistance of the wire initially is 100 ohms, although pressure coefficient resistance of gold is 10 into 10 raised to the power minus 12 per Pascal. It is preferred to manganese in many applications as it has a resistance temperature coefficient which is 1/2 of the manganese, and therefore it is used to result in lower errors or account of temperature changes. Now how it works is, this is a core or a bone ring. It can be open or closed ring cores, and on this core a manganese wire or gold wire, you can also use gold, can also use a gold wire. A gold wire can also be used. Now these wires are wound onto it, and now it is put into an environment with high pressure. Now when high pressure is applied on this conductor, what happens is initially its resistance is 100 ohms, but when it comes onto the high pressure, what happens, its resistance changes, and the change in resistance is then measured. Now how it is put into the high pressure, it is put in high pressure with the help of this arrangement shown in this uh, figure. Now this arrangement is nothing but it is known as Bridgman gauge. This arrangement is known as Bridgman gauge. Now the thing we see here, it is which is not clear in this Bridgman gauge, is the sensing element. It is a sensing element which is placed over here. A core is there on which wire is round, and this is a below and a spring arrangement. Okay. Now what happens? Pressure is applied from this end, and it fills over here, and it pressurizes this area. Now this area is pressurized, and when this area is pressurized, the resistance of this wire changes, which is then measured with the help of a terminal. This is a terminal which checks the change in resistance of this material, and we come to know that how much resistance has changed, and due to which we can measure high pressures. Now this system works only at high pressures. So if there are no high pressures, we are not able to measure. We don't have a good you can say results. We are not having good results, or the error is more, you can say. So what I can say is this gauge claims to have following advantage: commercially available with a scale up to pressures 15 megapascals and with accuracies to 0.1 to 0.5 when properly calibrated. If it is properly calibrated, it can give you accuracies of 0.1 to 0.5. That means the error is only of 0.1 to 0.5. This much accurate it can measure. So now we'll move on to the next slide. I hope it is clear. So now these are some of the list of instruments which are used for having pressure measurements, in which range you are going to use which kind of instruments. So for low pressures, we are going to use manometers. For high and medium pressures, we can use Bourdon pressure gauge, diaphragm gauges, and below gauges. Okay. For low vacuum and ultra high vacuum, that is very low pressures, okay, we are going to use McLeod vacuum gauge. We have seen it's working. What it does, it magnifies the lower temperature to a higher temperature so that it can be measured. Then we have thermal conductivity gauges and ionization gauges, which we are less concerned of, but they can also be used. Now, then there are very high pressure gauges. Okay, Bourdon pressure tube can still be used for very high pressures. If we modify the tube material and its design, we can measure very high pressures also. We can also measure diaphragm gauge, can also be used, and we can also use bulk modulus pressure gauges, or we can also use Bridgman. Also, I will write it here. Bridgman can also be used. Now, Bridgman gauge can also be used for the measurement. Now, these are the main topics of pressure measurement. The rest material has already been provided to you. Pertaining to manometers, you have already learned how the pressure is calculated, and I have also told you in a brief that it is calculated by rho gh. The column of the mercury is the column of the liquid is measured, uh, and then that is a simple way of calculating. Now the different arrangements and all those things are already given to you in the study material, so you can refer the study material for that. this is all we have in this. So I would like you to subscribe to the channel and also say be regular in your studies in this time of lockdown so that you don't miss on anything. Now, thank you and be safe at your homes and study well. In the next class, we will try to have some surface related measurement techniques, how measure surface measurement. So don't miss that lectures.